Good day, my friends. Walter here. Today I'm going to tell you a story, a fishing story. Well, correction. Today I'm going to tell you a fishing trip story. We went fishing trip yesterday, and it was a failed fishing trip. And I'll tell you why. We got in last night in the dark right after a thunderstorm, and I just parked the boat under the shed. Didn't even unload it because we're going to go back fishing maybe on Monday. Let's see, I'll just lay this trash here in the front seat for a minute. Let these windows down, let this thing cool off a little bit. I am going to back this boat up in the shade over there, because I got to work on that engine. Turns out, you know, in my most recent video, it turns out that shouldn't have messed with them carburetors. As you recall, I told you that I adjusted the carburetors, and I did. I changed the idle adjustment screw from, most of them were around 5.5. Some of them were out at half a turn or here and there. I set them all at 6.5. 6.5 turns. Well, it turns out they're supposed to be 5.5, maybe even 5.25. Now, I had this engine adjusted. Well, I sure am handy with the knots here. It's a sailor for you. Had the engine adjusted where it sounds good. I don't even have an RPM gauge. Tachometer, I mean. It would help to have that where I could check the time and make sure exactly what the RPMs are. But I had it adjusted on the idle speed to 6.5 turns, which sounds boring as hell to y'all, but you know, if you know anything about engines, I was obviously wrong. Turns out you can't adjust them carburetors hooked up to a garden hose in the yard. You got to do it in the water. Well, how can you do it in the water with this pontoon boat when you can't even get to the motor from inside the boat? If you were in a bass boat or some little open standard boat, well, then you could just sit in the back of the boat, crank it up, and take your wrenches and Torx wrench, what it is, and adjust the carburetor. You can do that with this boat. The only way you can do that with this boat is be part elephant or something, hang off the back of the boat. I guess you could stand in the water. You could stand in the water and adjust them. I could just see me standing right here, say up to my waist in water, adjusting that thing. You can't even reach it from here. You need to be on raised ground. That ain't gonna happen. Anyway, I'm gonna back my boat up over there in the shade the best I can. It'll take me an hour or two to get these carburetors back the way I wanted them, back the way they were, and hopefully it'll run a little better. It turns out you gotta adjust the idle in the water simply because you can even hear the difference when it's in the water. The exhaust comes out down here, and it's underwater, so there's pressure inside there. It's like back pressure, and plus this is already full of water. That puts more of a strain on the motor. So with just a garden hose hooked up, there was no strain on that exhaust, and the engine idle is different when it's in the water, which changes the idle. So I'm going to put that idle back the way it was. Anyway, we got, well, how many times I can say it. We got out there to the lake and couldn't get it to run right. And I was scared to go off down the lake as bad as it was running. It is a very hot Sunday afternoon, and I'm going to sit here on the porch while I got some quiet time and try to relate my story that I wanted to tell you about our failed fishing trip yesterday. Where I can concentrate more on what I'm trying to say instead of worrying about fixing the carburetors on the boat out there. Anyway, we got up there to the marina yesterday way too late. I was hoping to get there early, at least early enough to learn my way around the lake a little bit before dark, because it's way up farther than I've been in that lake. I haven't been in that area at all. We got up there to Maurice's Marina. I had not taken into consideration the fact that it was Saturday afternoon. And if you think about it, people get out and do things over the weekend. And I should have thought about it. It's going to be kind of crowded. But when we got to Maurice's Marina, we found the place to be wall-to-wall people. It was really crowded. Now, I guess that makes sense, that people are going to go to the best places. That's why you can go to some of these other marinas and there wasn't hardly nobody there. Pulled in the road that drives down towards the marina. It's a good city block long down there to the marina. Once you turn in the road going into the marina, there's several streets in there, or little roads, not really streets. Boat trailers were parked everywhere. So we had to wait in line probably over an hour just to put our boat in the water, waiting in line behind other vehicles. Most of them were in the process of taking their boat out of the water because a lightning storm had come up a little bit earlier and probably drove a lot of them in off the lake all at one time. But even with all those cars, I'm sure being late Saturday afternoon, it was going to be busy the whole time. I thought I'd take a few minutes to tell you about the kindness and unkindness of other people. When you go to a place where it's public like that and you see other people, you can get quite a bit of entertainment just watching what's going on. And in the process, I like to meet people and talk to people. A lot of people don't talk to each other. On the other hand, talk to people, or at least give them a chance to talk. So we put the boat in the water, cranked it up. That was after a considerable amount of problem getting it in the water, but we got it in the water. James pulled it down to the other end of the pier with a rope while I went and parked the boat trailer. Already had the bimini cover up and had it stocked. We did all that while we were waiting in line to put it in. We got the boat in the water. I went down there and cranked it up, and it sounded like it was running really rough. It just sounded puny, like it kept choking and coughing and spitting and cutting out. I had not taken into consideration the fact that the motor would run different in the water. I didn't realize just exactly how much more strain is on the motor when it's in the water. You got the back pressure from the exhaust coming out down there around the propellers and stuff. And plus the motor is all more full of water and there's all them gears and stuff in there, so it puts more of a strain on the engine. When I put the boat in gear, it would conk out and die. The idle was just too low. It kept conking out. What are we going to do? Here it is, not long, within an hour of being dark. I'm in a strange part of the lake where I haven't been before. I don't know my way around up here. So I decided we better not go on down the lake. Take a chance on getting lost out there the way that boat was running. But what we'll do, we'll shove off and run out here in the cove and see what it does. Got out there in the middle of the cove where we could drift around a little bit, and I revved up the motor and ran it at higher RPMs, and I could keep it running okay. It just was running rough. So we'll put on around the cove here, a mile or a half a mile, headed down the river. And this, I'll try to paint you a mental picture. All along these coves and up and down the rivers, South River, I believe it is, there's homes, big fine homes and lake lot properties. Some really fine looking places, and all these different homes have boat ramps and boats and jet skis and quite an assortment of, equipment out there. What would be their backyard. You can't see the front of their house from the lake, but really nice places. So we're just looking, and I'm putting along, but I'm deciding where I'm going down the river or not. Conks out a couple more times, and I'm running fairly close to shore, and I come up behind this big fine house, real nice dock. There was a man sitting out there on the dock. I guess he was feeding ducks or feeding his fish or something. And I said, "Excuse me, sir, do you mind if I borrow your dock? Having a little motor trouble." "Oh, no, pull right on up here." He was just as kind as he could be. And we talked to him for a little while, and I found out he was retired from a big trucking company. I won't say which one. I'm going to say his name. I know his name, but I'm not going to tell the public. But let's just call him Tim. Talked to him for a little while. He said, "Well, y'all sit right here on the dock and fish." I had explained to him we were going to go fishing, but we was having trouble with the boat. Said his son-in-law would be coming along pretty soon, and he'd be happy to help us with the boat, help us find our way around, whatever. I said, "No, I think we're going to hang around a little while and go on back to the dock of the marina before it gets dark." But Tim was real nice. His wife came out and sat down and talked to us for a little while. And they went to go back in the house. And like I said, it's a really fine house. Had a nice boat dock down there with all the amenities and boats and pontoon boats and jet skis, stuff sitting out there. They went on back in the house to do whatever. He said, "If you need to go to the bathroom or something, just come knock on the door. You're welcome to do it." And I thought that was just so kind of somebody to offer that. In the first place, some stranger that he don't know, he probably sees people every day coming up and down that river, especially on weekends. I'm sure most people are unfriendly enough and don't even speak, maybe occasionally wave, but I'm different. I talk to people. And I'm sure he's had his run-ins with strangers there, but he was trusting enough to be friendly to me and James. We could have stayed out there and fished off his dock, but I was concerned about getting caught after dark. But I was just so awed by the man's kindness and friendliness and helping us out. He even helped me tie the pontoon boat up when I got up there because I couldn't work the little boat latch attachment. It's just amazing when you ever know when you're going to run into some friendly person or somebody you'd like to be friends with. Most people just ain't friendly towards others at all. I'm sure there's plenty of people would have told me, "No, I'd rather you didn't mess on my dock. Y'all go on out there in the river somewhere and work on your boat." But Tim wasn't that way. Told me to come on back anytime I wanted to come back and use his dock. So we tinkered around with the boat a little bit. James wet a hook a little bit, put a minnow in the water. But I was more concerned about getting back to the marina. So I told Tim and them so long and wished them well. I told them, check me out on YouTube. I don't know if they will or not. And I'm definitely going to return the man's kindness. Someday I'll come along and offer him a mess of fish or something, or do something to return his favor in kind. We nursed the boat back to the marina. Pulled up to the, now you got to remember, there's two different long docks there, and they were wall-to-wall boats. We laid out for a little bit until some boat that was leaving backed out and took off up the river, and I said, well, there's just a place we can park. Eased on up there to the pier. The motor kept conking out every time I would try to shoot the pontoon boat up in this little narrow parking spot. The guy in the next boat, turned out he was a retired fireman, and he helped us push the boat straight and get it tied up to the pier, which was very kind of him. I told him, thank you for your help. That was really nice of you. And he went on around towards the other side of his boat doing something, and I said, thank you for your help. And his wife said, he can't hear you, he's hard of hearing. I said, well, later on, you be sure and tell him I said thank you. I said, I understand all about the hard of hearing stuff. Been there, done that. Well, I tell you, you can't go off and leave your boat with all your rods and reels and fishing equipment and stuff on it. We're tied up. I said, I'll go get the boat trailer. You just sit here under the awning and take it easy. I'll be back whenever that long line of cars allows me to get back down here to put the boat in the trailer in the water. It turned out when I got in line to come and get it out, there was only 4 or 5 cars ahead of me, so I'm sitting in this line waiting to come on down to the boat ramp and back my trailer in and get the boat out of the water. Well, I can see what's going on all around the marina there. I can see all the boats, I can see the piers, I can see the Cabana's restaurant on the left is wall-to-wall customers. All them outdoor tables were full of people eating dinner, and they were getting quite a show just watching all the boats coming and going. Well, I got down to where I was about the second boat in line to put my trailer in the water when the guy in front of me jumped out of his boat, ran across the boat ramp to the other pier on the other side, ran down the full length of the pier. And this was no skinny little dude. This guy looked like he could whip you and me put together. He went down that dock in a run. When he got to his boat, the front gate was open. He didn't even slow down. He ran right up the middle of the pontoon boat to whoever the guy was in the back of the boat. Commenced knocking him down. Got on him, was punching the tar out of him. What in the world? Is a fight going on here? Well, James had watched the whole thing from his vantage point. He was sitting there in our boat, and evidently he had said something to this guy's wife, the one in the truck in front of me. And she hauled off and slapped him real hard, or something like that. I didn't see it, James did. And he hit her and knocked her down or something. That's when the guy in front of me bailed out of his boat and went running down there and commenced flogging on the guy. Well, that would be more under the heading of unkindness of other people. But you never heard such swearing and cussing in your whole life. This went on for like 15 or 20 minutes while I'm back in my after he finally came back and put his trailer in the water, and I got my turn to back in. I backed down the other side of them, and I'm just watching this sideshow. I mean, he's still mad, understandably so, and he's yelling. The guy that he was fighting with has got all his goodies and walked off the boat. I don't know if he had a different means of transportation or what. But the one lady that he was arguing with followed him over between my truck and their truck, and she was using the F word and telling him he was trailer park trash, and she didn't care who heard her using these profane words. And I swear there was 200 people out there in that crowd listening to her yelling and cussing, and him. I thought, well, they're going to be beating on each other again here in a minute. It was just entertaining. It's like going to the wrestling match. You never know what's going to happen. But in general, most of the people were really kind. We're definitely going to go back. We're not going to do it on Saturday and Sunday, though. We're going to go back Monday. We brought the boat back, and I worked on the carburetors all day, all the morning. Got them at least back the way they were. And to really adjust them carburetors right, I got to adjust it when it's in the water. But you can't do that on that pontoon boat. I guess you could stand in the water and do it. But we're definitely going to go back to that area again. It's really fine marina. There wouldn't be a lot of people up there. And in general, most people were really kind. I end my story up by thanking Tim and his wife for their hospitality, and by putting up with a stranger with a bad running boat. Anyway, once we got the boat out of the water, we put the bimini covers down and loaded anything loose that might blow out in the back of the Expedition. We got home about 10 o'clock last night. Somebody over here behind me was shooting off rockets and fireworks. There had been a really hard storm here. It rained cats and dogs here while we were gone. Wife said it was lightning and everything else. We saw the clouds and stuff in the distance, but it didn't hit us where we were. We might have got a little bit of a shower. It wasn't much. But that concludes the story of my failed fishing trip. Maybe one of these fishing stories eventually will be of a successful fishing trip. Thanks for listening, my friends.